Well, what's up? So, I'm reading your last message that you sent about your Mormon past, right? And I do find it really interesting. I've watched some videos and read some books by people like Bill Schnoblin and, other people who say that they used to be in Mormonism or whatever and Freemasonry and that they found that it's all this symbolism and all that type of stuff. And it seems like we're finally getting somewhere. I think I agree with you on a lot more issues now. And especially what you added on about now that you're adding on uh, some stuff about how African American people who are playing all this Illuminati crap are dooming their own people. I totally agree with you. I think that that's making us look bad as a whole. Uh, it's really stupid. I mean, it's not really anything new. I mean, you could say rock bands, 70s and 80s, 90s, even today, doing the exact same stuff. But it is a big change because I am sick of the stereotype of, and I've even heard this from like my mom and other things like that, like that the stereotype is, oh, black people don't worship the devil. Well, hip hop's gone gothic at least since about the early '90s up till now. Some of the first, what I'd say, some gothic rappers for African Americans. Now I'm not gonna say that black people hadn't worshipped them before any of that. But I am saying that it was a current cultural change because it's like black people are, in their culture, more scared of the devil. It's like if you grew up in a strong Christian household, you're like even people who think that they're gangsters and stuff, you know what they do when they get to the church? They put out their cigarette, or they don't be pumping that loud music by the church. They think something bad gonna happen to them. Something like that, or just along the lines of that. It's just more fear for the Lord, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. You would think it's a good thing, but apparently it's not really a good thing when, you talk to a gangster or something, he says he's afraid of God, and he wears the cross chains and all that stuff, but yet he thinks that it's okay to rap in his songs talking about busting caps or, any of that type of stuff is really ridiculous. It's very hypocritical. People like Snoop Dogg now, he's talking about he's Snoop Lion and he's turned a new leaf and he went to that Rastafarianism now and all this no guns allowed. All this talk of peace and tranquility after he's made all these songs about killing people. Was tried for first degree murder. Tried for second degree murder too, I think. I think he beat both cases, or one of the cases didn't follow through because they found who did it. He didn't even have to go to court for another one or something. But yeah. So I'm starting. I agree with you on one thing, but like you said that they're. You said that do they not realize that they're dooming their own people, or did you say that? Or you said something like let me see. Uh, you said something. You said like do the people not realize that their idols are dooming them in the end? Which I totally agree with that, and I think that you're so close to understanding where I'm coming from right now, and I don't know if you do understand, but I'm saying that is the same situation with Zionism and Jewish people. Like Zionism is the number one cause of anti-Semitism, like in the world. That's what I believe. I have evidence to support that. I mean, if you don't believe it, let's picture it like this. You can't blame one specific group for hating, for not liking, for being anti-Semitic, like Muslim people or radical Islamists. And, you can't say that they're the cause of anti-Semitism in the world. I have Russian friends. I know Russian people who who almost have sort of like a hatred for Jewish people, and it has nothing to do with Muslim people. It has to do with, I think that this could be a generalization, but a large majority of Russian people seem like they have some type of at least some type of knowledge on what Zionism is. And that's a lot different than in America. In America, you approach somebody who is, high school age up to 30 years old, and you ask them, do you know the definition of Zionism? Do you know what Zionism is? Then they're probably going to look at you confused. And I don't blame necessarily them for that. I mean, at some point, it is that person's fault that they haven't looked that knowledge up for themselves, right? But also, I blame the education system because I learned that I'm not even in high school yet. I learned that when you get in high school, the only way that you even learn the vocabulary word of Zionism, at least in Texas, where I am right now, is if you get an AP. If you get an AP World History, then you learn about Zionism. But if you're in the regular class, you don't even learn about it, and it's kind of it's disappointing because um, that's one of the things I think should be touched on because if you don't know about it and you don't, for instance, you know how much stuff you're gonna study about Nazism and all these other, white supremacists, Black Panthers, every other group that believes that they're superior to everybody else, but Zionism left out. That's a problem, and I think that needs to be addressed. I think that Zionism should be a basic vocabulary word in seventh grade. I really do get that. I mean, I'm learning, United States history right now, and they didn't even cover the KKK like I thought they would. These McGraw-Hill National Geographic textbooks very disappointing in the way that they cover these type of groups that have a negative connotation around them. When something is known as negative, I think you should cover it as negative. Instead, the way they cover it is very blunt, general, and doesn't really set up the message that hey, this guy's bad, these people are evil. It doesn't really set up the message. No, I have a good teacher, so he's of course he's gonna tell us what the KKK did to people. Most of us already know because it's like a popular joke. You watch Family Guy, you'll see the joke, and then you'll probably understand. And you at least know what the KKK is. A bunch of racist dudes. Just do stuff to black people, minorities, or whatever. And but yeah, I'm not gonna get into all that whole kind of race conversation, but you get it. But I think that also has to do with the fact that I'm not gonna blame Jewish people once again because I think that it's Zionist. Now, you don't have to be a Jew to be a Zionist, but if you're aiding Zionists, then you are Zionist, and that makes you affiliated with them, and that makes you the enemy, or a major enemy of the free world. I'm not gonna say you're the only enemy. I'm not gonna sit there and say that every person who ever reads the book, whoever reads the book, the Learned Protocols of the Elders of Zion is Zionist, and that we should wipe them off the face of the earth. I don't think we should wipe them off the face of the earth. I think we should downplay them and stop buying their products, stop supporting them, and then they're gonna have to change up their game plan if they still want to support. Right now, instead, you have, fast food restaurants like McDonald's, Starbucks, other things like that. I think it's Nestle, like hot chocolate, and, all these other corporations, food products, and all this stuff. All these people, I get it though. You do have to choose your battles. You can't constantly monitor all your food for what you think could be a Zionist product. I'm not saying you have to do that, but I am saying do know, because the one thing that people will say when you come out with all this conspiracy stuff about Zionism, and I've learned this the hard way, got cussed out by YouTube people, and some people actually had good points, and they pointed out my hypocrisy basically. So I've learned from that, and so you have to take into account that before you start talking about Zionism, know that the T-shirt you could have on your back could be a Zionist corporation. If you're gonna write a book about it, that's one thing that I don't like is that some people who write about Zionism can make conspiracy theorists look stupid by not addressing something that they probably do know. It's such like they overstep it or they think that it's not important when really it is. When you're dealing with a mob psychology like the American people, you have to make sure that you're completely accurate and that there are no falsehoods or hypocrisy in your statements. Otherwise, you will be relentlessly attacked. Just like Republicans attacking Democrats from their hypocrisy, Democrats attacking Republicans for their hypocrisy, people attacking Ron Paul for his hypocrisy. Now, Ron Paul's correct on a lot of things. I mean, well, as far as the abortion stuff goes, I'm pro-choice. He's pro-life, but it's whatever. That can just be partially because I'm sick of seeing grown-ass women walking around with no father, and just a son there. And so I think that maybe that could have been a choice, but but still, then that's like my last resort in that situation. But I do think that there should be a choice. But anyway, basically, what I think, I'm not gonna say that everything is because of Zionists, though. I don't believe that because there's too much of a broad scheme of ideologists that control the world right now that it can't be all related to Zionism. Now, I'm sure all of them are knowledgeable of what Zionism is, though. I'm sure they know what it is. You can't fight. The best way to fight your enemy is to know what it is, right? And so, basically, I think that I'm not really trying to mess with Christians, but there has to be a point where, this is why I kind of stopped identifying myself with them 100% of the time, because they do make themselves look stupid every once in a while. There should be a boundary between morals and religion. And that goes for anything. So I don't believe that you should get mad and blow somebody up. But I don't believe that, why are there some Christians that can work up more love for Jews than they can for Jesus? Why is that? Is that even this? Like, how come Jews get some type of special pardon for the sins that they commit based on some type of thing that happened, long ago? It's kind of Augustine. It's, it's very disappointing that someone can fall for that type of psychology. Okay, so let's say it like this, right? Black people used to be slaves. I'm not going out and going back to South Africa right now and saying that, I'm not going back to South Africa right now and saying that basically that you took my land from me, this was my land originally, and then start removing 700,000, 1 million white people off the land, Europeans off the land, and they've been living there, and it's not their fault that they were born there. You don't choose where you're born. Is very, you see what I'm saying? Where is the humanitarianism in that? I don't care what your religion says. There is no humanitarianism in that. And I hope that people realize that. And I think that instead of reading some type of, holy literature, why don't you finally just look within and do what's right? Not everything that is right is going to be in the religious way. I guarantee you that. It doesn't matter if it's Christianity, the Quran, whatever the Jewish people read, I forgot the name of it. It doesn't matter. Some things that you do that are right aren't going to be in the best interest of that deity. So, it's as simple as that, okay? And I know that you said the words of men do not dictate what God says. Yes, I understand that. But take a minute and step out of the box. Step out of the box and realize what's wrong and right. You cannot come back to a land that has children living there that are my age that don't understand what's going on because they're like, oh, it's not my fault I'm born here. If you told me to leave, at least I would have the choice to leave. I'm not even old enough to leave the house yet. How is that person's fault? Why are they being evicted from their home, moved away from the property, into what's turning into something? It's turning into almost like Israel. It's like almost like a Yeah.
Want to start with first?